specialize in music most people hate. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out our Facebook page, Instagram, and our website. Let us share the noise with you.
Yo, this is John from Noise Dosage Media, and this episode is brought to you by Begrudgingly Benny. Interested in putting something horrific and grotesque on your next piece of merch? Benny is tucked away in the fiery depths of COVID quarantine, blasting the filthiest of old school death metal and drawing hideous creatures that he is waiting for you to adopt. Go over to Instagram and follow @BegrudginglyBenny and contact him if you would like some really weird original art for your band or label. Super professional, highly recommended. All right, starting off, we got Blake from Pig Destroyer. This is sweet. I'm glad it's coming together. And yeah, first question here. Where has Pig Destroyer been, trying to branch out? Like, do you have any, different avenues you're trying to take your, promotion and merchandising?
Well, I guess yes and no. We recently just did some face masks from the COVID outbreak, which we donated all the proceeds to a charity. I misremember which one offhand. Which I thought was pretty novel, but by the time we got around to it, of course, it's a no-brainer. Other bands are going to do it.
Right.
And we kind of got, let's put it this way, like an anti-cop shirt that we got that's going to be coming out soon that we're going to donate.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. Which wouldn't be our first one. But, a new one. And since I think we have 4 or 5 merch companies.
Okay.
Night Shift Merch, who did the masks, they already have charities lined up for all these things. So we've been spitballing back and forth, getting people to get back in touch with us to get some designs. Has been a little difficult, but it's different times now, man. Everyone's busy and kind of occupied with a bunch of other stuff.
Right. I've been noticing, when it comes to merch with bands nowadays, people hop on the waves. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's doing shirts of like you said, anti-cops, or what was another thing? How do I put it? When something's hot, bands jump for it, and it's very smart.
Yeah, you kind of got to be unique now. It's not just like the way it used to be, where it's like, oh, I love this band, I'll buy a shirt. I mean, that still goes on, but right. Ashtrays and watches and shit like that is to me, yeah. I think it's really cool. Just for us, we don't typically tour, and obviously nobody's doing anything right now.
Exactly, yeah.
So, if I have to buy 100 skateboards to sit in my garage till the next time I play a show where I don't have to air freight them, yeah. That's just money that's collecting dust. So, right. we try to kind of be cool about it. And, we're not really into like you said, you didn't know. I'm not really sure how to put this. We're not really into milking our audience,
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the cool merch is cool. I've definitely got some weird shit. I remember a band from the 90s called the Warlock Pinchers that was from Denver. And, I mean, they had watches and ashtrays and all kinds of crazy shit, like way before anybody ever heard of a band doing any of that stuff.
Like, what I'm trying to think of, right now, after the question, I've been thinking about it. Like, bands have been hopping on the, doing the customizable, pipes and stuff like that. That's new to me. Right. A lot of bands have been doing that recently.
I think we had the offer to do one of the vapes and a grinder at some point, but I don't really know what happened. We were supposed to have branded coffee at some point. And mugs to go with that. I don't really ever know what happened to that. That type of stuff is usually, for us at least, someone pitches the idea to us. And I'm like, okay, what is the least amount of work I have to do with this? And if it's little to none, then I usually sign off on it. But, if I have to come up with a design and get a whole different coffee thing and like a artwork for the bag and a different artwork for the mug and this and that. Yeah, I've got enough time.
Now, how's that go with you guys? Do you have an executive in the band that makes the decisions, or is it a group decision?
I mean, basically I manage the band, but typically, I will get it to a point where it's workable and I'll say, hey guys, how do you feel about this?
Right.
For example, I'm trying to think of one that was, I made a particularly egregious meme today, and it was like, hey, this, just keep this to yourselves. I don't want to post this. And Scott was like, yeah, you should definitely post this. And everyone was like, absolutely not.
Right.
And, it was just kind of a joke, but, we try to keep it diplomatic in the band.
Right. Yeah, it's
but,
not like one
you
person.
can't, right. You can't have too many
rules.
cooks because then you get input on every single art design. And
no,
when you have
exactly.
5 merch companies, it's a lot.
Yeah, you're like, I don't like that little part in the design. Can you redo it? And it takes like a month. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one topic that always comes across in these podcasts. It's like, having so many people on a project, how do you level it out and get progress done?
I mean, it's kind of the same thing with writing and recording songs. A buddy of mine's band that's getting a lot of attention, No Moss, when they did their first full length a little over a year ago, he texted me. He was like, dude, like, I love your band, but like, man, do I appreciate how you guys can get this done. I'm like, well,
exactly.
it's not like you just go in and record it. There's a lot to it,
Right.
But I'm also one of those musicians that I want to like make it seem like I'm bitching about doing it, because I'm very lucky and we're very grateful to be in the position we're in.
Right.
So it's just like anything. It's always an uphill battle,
Yep. So, seems that you said you guys are pretty up there and knowledgeable and this and that. What are some tips for like beginning underground bands, like just hitting the road after this coronavirus hits?
Well, I've never really been in like a full-time touring band. Any of the bands I've ever done have been very sparse on the touring, just not as little as Pig Destroyer. We average about 10 to 15 shows a year.
Right.
It's tough out there, and there's a lot of things that I won't say that I'm the best at. Like Relapse, our label, does a lot of, hey man, you should post this on Instagram today, that sort of thing. Whereas like that sort of thing would never really ever occur to me sometimes.
Right.
Recently I talked to my girlfriend about doing a Pig Destroyer Twitter account. She's like, dude, like you have to constantly be on Twitter. There's no point if you're just going to post one today.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
I made an account on that and they make it so difficult to like, I don't get yourself out there. Like I'll follow like maybe 20 people and it's like action blocked.
Right.
And it's like, all right, tomorrow I'm going to get 20 more freaking followers. Cool. Like Facebook, I feel Facebook is like the easiest way, to be honest.
It is,
with
but it seems to be going down in popularity. I think there's like a glut on events. Once Facebook kind of started the event page thing, it's not just posting a flyer and then you go out. It's, once they started monetizing it, I feel the algorithms have changed.
Yeah, it's weird because like when I look at my, personal pages that I have for this podcast and then the, like, how do I put it? The main page I have, like, it seems like not a lot of people see it versus like a personal page or like, like those groups or communities, people see that.
Right.
But I feel like you really have to sponsor your shit. And which they make it super hard nowadays.
Which is bullshit because, if you do, not saying that $20 or $30 is a lot of money, but
right.
What's your, what kind of benefits are you reading from that?
Yeah, you're not even getting the people that you want to support sometimes,
Right. And it's set up to where it's like, the more money you put, but if you're in a local band that's drawing, 20 people, what's the point?
Yeah.
Where you might reach one more person that's going to come to your show. Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Which is kind of why I like Instagram because
I love that.
To me, Instagram makes it seem like, okay, this image is drawing me in, and then you can read about it, and then you can do your own research.
Yeah.
But yeah, Facebook is different since I've been on it. I don't think even Pig Destroyer was set up as a musician or band at first. I think we just had our own page, and then it migrated at some point.
Right.
So they can monetize.
Yeah, exactly. Monetizing shit. So do you solely listen to the type of music you play, or do you like branch out?
Oh no, man, come on. I'm 44 years old.
That's what I thought. Like, I always ask that question because it's always like, nah, dude. I listen to like fucking, I don't know, like U2, like crazy shit.
I mean, yeah, I'm like an old, like I really like 70s arena rock, 80s pop and 80s, like I guess you would call it goth now, but it wasn't really called that then, like the Cure and Depeche Mode and the Smiths and stuff like that.
Right.
Like I'm a huge Hall & Oates fan. I've seen Prince like 7 times.
Wow.
Saw Frank Zappa a bunch of times before he passed too. Uh, this is always a tough question, but for me, it's kind of whatever floats my boat. I don't really get super hard into dance music or, like I like hip hop, but I'm very particular with that, like really old school, like aggressive hip hop. Um, Basically what you would think a 44-year-old dude listened to when he was in high school.
Right.
But that's not saying, like I've really been into Carpenter Brute lately, and I guess that's kind of dancey.
Okay.
I don't know what they call that, synth wave or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy. Some like subgenre.
Right. I like a lot of horror film soundtracks stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's very rare these days when a grind band kind of grabs me enough to stand up and pay attention, or I have to see them. If I, sometimes I go to shows and I'm like, wow, that band was fucking awesome, and I never would have thought to listen to their record until I saw them.
Right. I'm gonna shamelessly plug Hallucination Realized. They're from Rochester.
They're great. Band. They're great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
I have not seen them, but I do like the record a lot.
Okay. Fuck yeah, I'll tag them.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I'm aware of those guys. It's still, grindcore is still a pretty small knit community compared to a lot of things, but the way it used to be in the 90s and early 2000s, you're like, oh, you like grindcore? You're like, you're the only guy in my state.
Right. Right. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but yeah, I've definitely heard of them, man. DC has I live in DC.
Yep.
And we've got a pretty vibrant music scene a lot. There's a couple of promoters. Hassan from God, why can't I think of it? Ripping Headaches. He brings a lot of bands here. And that's cool. It's really, we're very lucky. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to live in a city where sometimes I have to decide between which of 3 shows I'm going to go to that night.
Right. Yeah,
As
exactly.
To,
like
there's been 2 shows this month.
Rochester's been a few times where it's like, fuck, dude, what do I pick? But it's I don't know, weekday shows. Fuck.
Right.
Yeah, where you live right now, I don't think I'd want to be hanging around.
I'm not in downtown DC. I'm just on the outskirts of Maryland, technically. But yeah, it's this country's been a powder keg for quite some time, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to say that you lived through the largest civil rights protest in the history of the world.
Exactly.
I was shocked to find British people and other countries were protesting due to racial inequality in the U.S. Man, I always, from touring overseas, I kind of always thought like, yeah, you Americans are crazy. We just let you guys over there and do whatever the fuck you're doing. Like us Europeans, we don't care. like we're cool. We got it down.
Right. All right. So let's see here. Last question for this part. How has Pig Destroyer made a positive impact on your life, to this day?
Oh man. I don't know. This sounds kind of cliche to me to say, but it's just kind of in me and kind of in all of us. Making a racket and jumping around is just kind of what I do. I don't know that I would be very sane without that. Not having practice in a couple months since COVID started, it's kind of been getting to us all a little bit. In fact, I think it was a year or so ago, I was talking to Scott about him turning 50 in a couple of years. And I was like, at what point do we give this up? At what point are we too old to do this? And he was like, well, I can't imagine never not doing this. Yeah,
do you have any feelings that, I don't know, this band is going to end soon? Or you for me, like hearing you right now, you're not stopping.
No,
but
we got a new bass player last year, and he's considerably younger than all of us, and he's just kind of injected like a lot of new life into the band.
Okay.
Both in attitude and like his style of playing and stuff. So
right on.
It can be a drudge sometimes, just like anything, just like every job. And I mean, I don't look at Picture as a job, but in fact, it's not my job. I'm an engineer.
Right on, yeah.
But any relationship, you have your lows and your highs. But this is one that I've always been super juiced to be a part of.
Now, when it comes to engineering, which part of it do you do?
I am an audio-visual consultant, so I design sound and I design AV systems for everything from a 4-person classroom to I did the Ravens training facility a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So it really just depends, man. It's so yeah, I'm just an AV engineer. When I say I don't want to say audio engineer because people think I sit behind a mixing desk and mix bands, which I could not imagine doing. And hats off to everyone that does that, man. That's
right.
a thankless job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the shows. Well, in Rochester, the freaking shows start at 9:00, and there's like 6 bands on the bill. Like,
yeah,
fuck, in a weekday. Like,
yeah. Is the Bug Jar still there?
That is literally the venue I was talking about.
Really?
Yes.
It's been a long time since I've been to the Bug Jar, man.
Damn, dude, you should come back when you guys play.
We've had offers from Rochester before. I don't know what ever
happened.
I mean, with us, it's a lot of timing. Everyone's got day jobs, full-time jobs. Scott has 2 kids. Recently his oldest just graduated high school. So good for you, Preston. So it's we do get these offers. It's like, hey man, come and play. Minnesota. I'm like, well, yeah, I can't just do that on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, exactly. If there was a way where bands could literally just tour on weekends, that'd be
which
awesome.
Is basically what we do. I mean, we do a lot of that type of stuff, which does limit us somewhat. We might be going to Japan. We had a Japan trip scheduled for this year, and obviously got moved to next year.
Right.
And it also had like an Australia offer. So I was like, well, if we're going to Japan, we might as well go to Australia if it'll work out.
And we might as well vacation too at the same time. Shit.
Yeah, unfortunately, that pesky job thing pops up. So.
Yeah. Right. So I guess my last part of that question would be like, what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't in a band?
Oh, man. Can I quote G.G. Allen to say I'd be a serial killer?
You can do whatever you want.
No. It was always the most like ludicrously over the top, like I'm intending to scare you answer that I always thought was serial. I'd be a serial killer. I'm not really sure, man. I'd have to have some sort of outlet, photography or painting.
Right.
Maybe. I'm not really into sports that much. I know that's like acceptable. I'm an old punk rocker, man. Those habits die hard. Like there's a couple of dudes in the band that really like sports, and I just can't relate. So yeah, exactly. I would say there'd probably have to be some sort of like painting or photography or some sort of art. But it's a lot less. It's a lot less visceral to me. There's something about making a hellacious racket and kind of going nuts. It's a little more cathartic.